say what I wanted to say, so that's okay. I kept
Yeah,
it.
it's all good. Take two. No more redos. This is it. So we're starting the podcast again, episode 2. Um, Dr. Tessa was going in about like her day and just about like how she has so many obstacles or perceived obstacles in the midst of her ongoing glow up. She has a new job, her dream job. She's getting a new house, which requires a new car. Like, it's just a lot of glow ups on that end. Congratulations. And she was also talking about how some lady was banging on her door, some new neighbor that has come into her life, and seems like it has sparked some old emotions from past lives. I didn't know that you were in 2 abusive marriages. I thought it was just one. Wow. I didn't see. Look, you never, like I said before we started recording, you never know what someone has gone through. Speaking of that, that's actually part of the notes that I wrote for the past. How was last Tuesday for you? Or what was it? What was that eclipse? I think it was this past Tuesday or last Tuesday. How was that for you? Do you
What did
remember?
I do on Tuesday? Was I supposed to do something?
No,
Oh
I'm
no,
asking
no.
you like just how like was it like a
Tuesday.
like what was
Let me
going on
see.
during that day?
Like,
Was it a lot going on that day? Did you notice anything, or are you still like kind of in the midst of things that you're not even able to reflect right now?
no, this is normal. If you give me a date, I don't know what day it is. But if I hold on, wait, tell me. Listen, ADHD be ADHD, okay? But I can remember if I look at this is why I write everything in my calendar.
Yeah,
Oh,
March
are you talking about
3rd.
the third?
Yeah, March 3rd was the lunar eclipse and everything. So did you notice
Uh,
anything leading up to that day or after that day? Anything significant happened for you? Or I guess everything that we were discussing is kind of because that's like an ongoing thing, right?
well, I guess I should tell you that day was like that day, and it was an off day. That's why it felt so off. So it was the craziest day. I don't like doing things. I need a schedule and a routine, and I'm pretty solid. And like the things, as long as they're within the normal things that I do, like testing, right? Like test, like evals, I can go to different places because I have that planned. I send that the setup with my point of contact at each place, and I know beforehand when I'm going and where I'm going, and I kind of know like, okay, based on age of who I'm going to be with, how long I'm going to be there, and all that jazz, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like those things are okay. But Tuesday the fuck out of me actually. And it was odd because I did something I never do and I know better. I ended up with 3 different appointments that day in 3 different spaces, which I never do. And because I know I need to time block, and that's kind of too stressful for me because like I don't know what to do at the time before an appointment, and then if I have another one, what do you do at the middle time, and how am I going to be on time? Anyway, it just like I try really hard if I am going to schedule things to be either like back to back. Um, but I had a doctor's appointment I'm so excited. I have my first female Black physician who is my primary care doctor.
Okay.
Um, and I ended up having to reschedule because of the snow that came in the whatever unexpectedly a few weeks ago, right? Like that
Mm-hmm.
snow happened. And then the snow happened again that Monday. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to cancel again. She's over in Rockville. And I was like, I don't know if I'll make it, especially because the kids are going to be home again. And I thought, that's crazy. I can't do this anymore. But I did a virtual, which was good. So I had a doctor's appointment in the morning. And then after that, I had to go get my fingerprinting done for this new job down at the DC Metropolitan Police Department, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then I set a plan that I was going to train in because it's right by the courthouse. I know how to get there. And then I was like, why am I doing all that? That's a lot of walking. You can drive. You also know the area, Tessa. Like, just do it. and then I drove, but that was dumb
Oh my gosh.
because I forget how much I hate parking my 3-row big booty vehicle in DC. And so then I'm all hot and sweaty, and I'm late, right? Because then I like time blocked wrong. So I was just sitting here after the appointment anyway. So then I'm like stressed out. I'm late, but I get there, I get my fingerprints. I was like, this is odd. Now I'm going back. Then I had an appointment to see houses with the realtor for the first time. So I then get back, and I had just enough time to eat and like send out an email because I did remember to eat that day, which is also odd for me, but I did. So like so many weird things. So then I go see 2 houses, and I sit and I talk with this guy who that day I felt happy. Now I'm not so happy with him, but anyway, I digress on that point. We saw 2 houses, and it was really nice because like the first house, I'm in love with this house. God moves mountains, and I know that because I'm actually here on the East Coast because of that. And so I'm like, okay, if this is it, like, let this be it. It needs so much work. It's wild. I don't know why I like it. He's like, takes me to see this house built in 1952. And I'm like, in love with it. Then takes me to see this townhouse that's built newer, like in the 90s, but it's been upgraded. I feel like any other person on earth would love this house. Influencer type kitchen, like nice appliances, so much space, all the floors. I hated it.
Wow.
I was like, this is boring. This isn't me. I said, where are my books gonna go? Like, I don't have anywhere for my book. I said, so then we end up talking for 3 hours, Erica, for 3 hours. At this house. 3 hours? I don't know. Like an hour and a half at that house by the time we got there. And we were sitting there, and I learned his life story and pretty much shared mine. But my point was, like, this is why I can't have a boring house. Because he's like, kind of, I could tell, like, really? Like, there's, you wouldn't have to do any work. And I'm over here, like, picking the one from 1952 apart. Like, look at this stuff. Like, look at these cracks. Look at that. But in my head, I'm like, oh, but I can redo all of that. I know how to do all this work and like, make it mine. And it has the space that we need.
Mm-hmm.
But it also makes me feel like I know that I'm so different that I have to classify it for some reason. So it was just weird. Then I'm late picking up Malcolm, and then, I get home, and it just felt off. But it was, like, really good. I mean, he's really, like, all transparency. I mean, he's a good-looking guy. He's tall. I learned, like, he comes from the smallest country in Africa, and, like, I learned so much from talking to him that I went home and then Googled more about this country because I'm like, I'm loving this.
You
so
talking about your realtor?
That day. Yes.
You talking about this the same thing we were talking about in the text messages earlier?
Yes.
What? Oh my gosh.
I'll eclipse real fast on you. He probably felt like that too in my emails today because I'm like, bruh, like, we were cool, and now I haven't, like, I sent you 5, 6, 7, 8 houses to look at, and I haven't heard from you, and, like, we haven't made any other appointments to look at houses. I'm out here trying to make an offer on something, and where are you? So, Anyway, I digress. That was my Tuesday. How about yours?
Girl, it seemed like Tuesday was that day, because that Tuesday I got an email about my application for the match, and apparently there was like a technical difficulty or something, so I had to email, like, it was just a whole, like, I'm not, basically, I've made my own phase. Like, I'm not even in phase 2 anymore. Like, I'm in, like, a whole different arena. I'm still eligible, but something happened with my application, like, and it just, none of the sites that I applied to got my application, and so I had to email them individually, and some of them, they replied and they were like, yeah, we'll still take your application. Some of them are like, no, we've already filled our interview slots. We'll, email you if we, open up for post vacancy. I'm like, whatever. But the two that I'm like really interested in, they emailed me back. But girl, like Tuesday, yeah, Tuesday I woke up to an email, and oh my god, I wish Katrina was here. I wish because she can tell
Oh
you like I
God.
hate. I'm sure this is for anyone. Like you ever just get that text message or that email, and it just changes the trajectory of your whole day, your whole week. My whole week
Oh,
like changed since Tuesday.
yes. That's like awful, and it just sits with you, and it sits in your gut, and it's just like, even when you're like finally getting it figured out, you're like, but I already had it figured out, and then what happened? That's awful. No,
Yeah,
no, that's not the email you wanted to get.
yeah, yeah.
What
So, but at
and they
least
couldn't tell you why?
no, no. I called Time to Track. I called APIC. Like they're like they're able to reopen the portal, but they're like we don't see anything for you. So they were able to. I do have applications in, so I'm still in the runner. So I'm like, that's why I'm not like spiraling. Because if I didn't
Yeah,
have anything, then I would just been like, you know what? Let's not even do a damn podcast because I have other shit to worry about right now. But I
right.
feel like I have it. I feel like things are under control. It's just an interesting phase. So whatever I gotta do to find the right match though, because I'm not trying to be somewhere like going there 9 to 5 and I hate it. Like
Right.
so if it's taking me through all of this to find that right site, then okay, so be it. But yeah, that whatever eclipse retrograde, whatever is going on, I don't know. Yeah, Tuesday was that girl. That was that date. Like,
It was like, yeah, Tuesday, and like that's that's awful. But you know what? No, I want to say this. Like, I think that sometimes these things have to happen, and in a way of like, I swear, um, like this is what I think in themes a lot. Okay, my brain is wild. But one of the themes as I'm like cleaning out stuff is like life has to get messy, right, before it can get clean. And when you're walking through that messy part, like when you take everything out of your closet and it's a mess and it's overwhelming, and you're like, where do I even start to like fill this up? And I feel like that's what happens when things go out of like order and not in the way that we want them to, right? Because everything can be nice and organized. Like I could look in my closet and see everything hanging up and it's there where I want it to be, but it's still pretty messy. So if I want to do something to change it, I have to redirect it and take everything out. But that's a bitch and that sucks.
right.
So like sometimes I remind myself in times like this where it feels messy and like you're out of control. You have to kind of just walk in what's happening, and like you're saying, you created your own phase, but in that you've made this connection to these sites, right, rather than just the portal, which is kind of cool. And I'll tell you from experience, my connection got me back, got me to DC because I got rejected from the child guidance clinic
Yeah, I
initially, and
remember
I
you
was not
saying that.
offered that interview, right? And like I just sit with that for weeks. Like that was, I said, but like in my mind, I saw myself there. I saw that picture, and I was like, why would that be put so heavily on my heart that this is where I was going to be? And now I have to sit with that rejection out of all the sites. You get a bunch of rejections, but it was like that one was like, man, I really thought, I'd get an interview and go to the next round at least. And so, but it was that follow up and that connection of that personal email where, you know, I'm told by my supervisor that like I basically threatened them to come here anyway, so they figured they better email, interview me, and that those connections can do something great and lead you to the place you need to be, right? So I think you're walking in that mess, and it feels uncomfortable, and it feels like out of alignment, for sure. Why isn't all this working? But in the end, it's like it gets you where you're supposed to be. Gets everything back in order in a way that's better than it was before.
Right, right. Yeah, that's all. That's totally valid for real. Like I don't know. It's just that's why I knew that the first phase wasn't going to go well. I knew that rejection email because I just knew that I wasn't making those rankings based off of places that I actually wanted to go. Like I literally cannot think about, I cannot fathom like leaving my mom. Like that's all I've been thinking about. Like, and that's honestly what I'm going to end up having to do. Like these sites, there are no sites in DC that are focused on what I want to focus on. Like play therapy, ain't no sites around here, or the sites that are focused on play therapy, they've already been taken up by, you know, other applicants. So, you know, I have to move. So that's like that, and I have to be okay with that. At the first phase, I wasn't okay with that. I was like, let me try the court since they have that reputation of bringing on their own. Let me, you know, try Kennedy Krieger, you know, because their name brand and you know they deal with kids. You know what I'm saying? But like, you know, I wasn't ever pressed to go to no damn Kennedy Krieger, or I wasn't ever talking about forensics. Like I was just, I don't know. I was just trying to stay with mom, and I have to branch out. I have to think about my career. I have to be selfish in a sense, and it's kind of hard. I'm sure you can relate being a mom, that which is a more bigger version of caregiving. It is caregiving, but it just caring for someone and having someone rely on you. It literally like I can't think about I can't move without thinking about her.
Right.
I can't move without thinking about her. Every time me, you, and Katrina, all of us go out to eat, I'm like thinking about, oh, let me order something for her. Like, there's never like a meal that I'm not alone. I'm not alone now. I'm not out here moving just alone, this single 29-year-old girl out here. Like, nah, like, I have like a whole big responsibility on me. So, this whole process is like putting me through like I guess my quarter life crisis or whatever. I don't know. Cause like I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't know where I'm gonna end up and what that is gonna do for because me and my family went through a doozy when it came to like adjusting with bringing my mom home from the nursing home. Like that we took like some fine and we still are like financially hit. Like my brother, he's like yeah we took a financial hit. So
yeah.
I don't, now that we're kind of okay, she's getting Social Security, which is, you know, a consistent check for the rest of her life. Um, this whole me possibly moving to wherever, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But it'll all work out. I'm okay with it. Like, I'm not out here spiraling. I'm still in the process. APIC is behind me. They're not like, oh, your application didn't go through. Just wait till post vacancy. Like, it's not like all hope is lost for me. It was, I don't know what happened. It was like literally a technical difficulty there. I guess they just didn't get I got the email saying that my applications went, like, we received your application. But Mercury retrograde stuff, or I don't know, like these type of technical mishaps, these type of things, that's like Mercury retrograde, and that's what we're under right now. That's the energy that was leading up to it, I guess. But yeah, yeah, Tuesday was that girl, and I see the point of it all. I know that in the end, it's all going to work out for me in the best way possible. But it is definitely something like going through it. It is definitely something going through it. And I love building these connections. Like I'm being able to showcase my personality through the emails to these sites, and I didn't even get an interview yet. Like other applicants, they gotta wait for an interview to, you know, show who they are. And these people, they haven't even gotten any materials from me, not even a cover letter. And they've already, some sites are like, oh wow, I appreciate your, you know, how you're going about this. And because this, like, what are we talking about? What do you mean technical difficulties? Who goes through this? Like, I've never in my life heard of anyone going through this.
Like
Yeah, so
And
that
no one else, like, yeah, like that seems like a site wide thing. Like, why wouldn't anyone else going through that in the match? And what, but I also think like divine hands work, right, in divine ways individually. And even when you see the point of it, even like going back to my little metaphor, you see the clean version, you actually don't know what it's like at the end, right? We have this vision in our mind of what it'll be. I think you have all these other things swirling around at the same time, and like it's so hard to walk through it and not think about those other things and center like, okay, what's going on. But it sounds like, I think when I hear you speaking about this, it's like you needed to move through phase one to get to who you are as a clinician and who you're going to be as a psychologist, rather than like centering, all the other things around you. And I will say, as a mother, that the proudest thing that maybe not the proudest, the one thing I want for my kids, and I'm sure like this is, I feel universal, is that they live a life that they love, that they live a life that brings them joy and satisfaction, and that they don't stop to like, yeah, of course, caring and being a caretaker is important, right? And your family comes first. But at the same time, your mom gave it all so that you could be in this moment. And that moment is for you to, you know, set free and fly. And sometimes we have to walk through that pain first, that grief of like, okay, I thought I was going to stay near, and I thought I was going to be here and still be able to make this space. But if that's not in the cards for you and you need to go, like it feels like you need to have something that is outside of here and be able to flourish, but also be able to step into who you are.
mm-hmm.
Like, it takes layers, like you were saying, like everything is in layers, but I think it takes peeling back layers gently before we can even accept that for ourselves. But like, I will just say it's hard, and I would know that my kids would make a decision, and I think you're making this decision right now that's gonna ultimately, 1 year, two, right? It's 1 year, and then you're in a position where, like with me, right, where you're making more financial moves after you have the power. So it's like what are you willing to sacrifice in a moment for forever?
Hmm.
And those are the hard questions that you have to be willing to give and take about success and like forward progress. And it's hard because that's, I think, what gets a lot of people. It's like, what do you mean I have to sacrifice? Well, I shouldn't have to sacrifice. I want to do these things. And it's like, ultimately, it's not a sacrifice of forever. It's a sacrifice of, I'm going to take this year, and I know I'm going to set things up so that my mom's okay, so that everything is worked out. And then I'm going to be able to do things that amplify her and my family and the things that we walk through. And we're going to get back plus some, because I took that moment to say, hey, y'all, I got to step out of here for a second and do this so that I can, you know, solidify and become what we've all been working so hard for.
Right.
And that's hard, right?
Oh yeah.
It's hard to look at. It's hard to remember. It's hard to find peace in that, because you can't. It's like, well, what if it doesn't? Those little doubts and all the, imposter syndrome and everything. But there's not only is there a reason and a point, there's a need that's deeper than like the vision, right? And I say that pure, like, from my own heart, knowing what you're going through and how hard it is to leave. I left everything I ever known in my life, right, and moved across the country, with as an autistic person with two kids. And so I think I feel, I know it's not the exact same, right? But I can empathize and understand like your hesitancy and this idea that you're going to be close and letting that go. And also like branching into this new idea of, okay, now I can do things for me. And is that okay? Like, I think we ask ourselves sometimes, like, is that okay when we're so family centered?
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay for me to want that? Like you said, be selfish, but it's almost like, are you really being selfish or are you really just being you? And that's the gift that you want as a person that your family wants, because really, you know that you're going to continue to provide. And this opportunity is going to amplify that provision for tenfold. So there's like, I think as a reframe, it's like less of selfishness and more of sacrifice. Like, you're not being selfish, you're sacrificing. You're sacrificing this time and this space with her for the year, which sucks and it's hard. But at the same time, that sacrifice is the amplification of a life that you can't envision yet because you haven't been there. And it's almost like I couldn't envision. I'll tell like I think we can envision big visions, but it's like you can't envision what's next without walking through what's now.
It's very true. Yeah, yeah. I appreciate that reframe. I really do. Um, and everything, like I said before, everything that you're saying is valid. I definitely did need that first phase to just become more solidified in who I just all the conversations, all the experiences that I've been having. Just I don't know. It's literally like the end of an era. Like I feel like I'm a character in a TV show, and it feels like the last episode of a season. Like, and I'm trying to like hold on to all these old ways of doing these old characters, old ideas, and it's like, no, girl, like a new season is about. The creators are telling you that the new season is, but the script is made. Like all the new characters are in motion. All you have to get on. You have to get on board, and that's where I feel like I am now. And I definitely needed this first phase to, like you said, be more solidified in who I am as a clinician. Because I definitely thought that I didn't know, like I came into this program play therapy hot, and I still am play therapy hot. Like it's my dissertation. However, my training has been assessment heavy, like from the
Mm-hmm.
very beginning. Like, and honestly, I see like a similarity between what I'm going through now and my first year when I tried to get into this whole extern. When I started this whole extern process, like I applied to friendship like my first year because I'm into like therapy, or I'm into working with kids and things like that. So I wanted to, get that kiddo experience. But then the clinical psychologist, she left. And so we all had to like scramble and like do interviews all over again and find a new site. And that's literally what I'm going through right now, scrambling, trying to find a new site because something had fell through first phase, you know what I'm saying? So I'm seeing that. But it's my the point I'm trying to make is that my journey in this doctoral program has been so assessment heavy that I thought that I was being led to, being like a assessment type of clinician and like a forensic psychologist. I'm like, the courts want me? Why do the courts? I said nothing about forensics at all in my CV and my cover letter, like anything. So I was shocked when I understood why MedStar wanted me because they were doing like school based stuff. I didn't want to go back to the schools. I wanted to diversify my portfolio. But when the courts said that they wanted me, I was like, what is this now? Let me figure it out. So I literally just thought that, and they had this whole, we bring on our own externs and interns and things of that nature. So I'm thinking, oh wow, there's like a chance here that I could be getting like true forensic experience, and then this may be like the actual path. Because I had imposter syndrome in my first extern site, in my at friendship at that private practice my first year, but here at the courts, it's so relaxed. Like there's so much going on at the courts, with just behind the scenes. But for me and personally, Like I feel like I know what I'm doing. Like I just feel relaxed. It's like no imposter syndrome. So I'm like, wow, is this am I supposed to be here? Like, cause I feel no fear here at all. I'm growing and I'm growing at the same time. So it's like no fear and I'm growing. So I'm like, this is like the perfect like little environment for me. But then that fell through. So I'm like, oh, I still have a chance at this play therapy thing. And I've been just like going, the school is so mad at me because I've only been like hitting up like a few sites. They want me to apply to like all these sites that are like just available because, you know, I just need to get like a site. But I'm like, I really want to do play. I'm not trying to give up this play therapy thing. Like, I don't want to just go to like a prison or like a VA site because they just had an opening. Like, then I'm gonna be emailing you guys all year next year saying I hate this site. Can I please transfer? Could we do something? Like, I don't want to go through that. I wanna be intentional. So this process has definitely made me more adamant, made me more intentional. It just made me more of, I guess, who I am, that future me that we all know that we have, that future us that we all aim to be or know that's within us. I'm becoming more of her or my idea. I think I'm. I don't know. I'm becoming something. I'm in the midst of becoming. And it's definitely a time. I'm not. I wouldn't say it's like a good time or a bad time. It's just a time. It is a time.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to describe like the unfolding, the mess that is the madness before the the storm and the cleanup, right? And everything that happened. It's like you just you're living day by day and you go through the ups and the downs and there's moments that are nice and there's moments that are not nice. And at the end of it all, it's like, but this isn't the end all be all stop.
Right.
But this is the necessary like growth, right? It's the uncomfortable growth. And I think in growth, that's like the worst part of it because you know you're in this trajectory and you don't know quite when it's going to stop or where it's going to stop or what it's going to look like. But, I think we all, and, I think we hope a lot of people, I think if some people get stuck, that can be like hard and probably why we're in half the mess that we're in this world. But like, we should always be growing and becoming. And we have these moments in our lives that are more substantial and like more definitive, like this is. And so it feels like, geez, I feel like I should be doing more. But in that, you're doing all that you're supposed to do, that soak up, that recognition, that reflection of, oh, okay, these are the times, these are the spaces, these are the conversations that will last. And they feel so trivial, right? They feel like it's not good or bad. It's just like I'm having conversations. And in that, like, I'm so proud of you. Play therapy is needed, right? Like, play therapy is important. Most
Really?
people don't want to work
Every
with
time,
kids. I was
honestly,
just,
hold on. Like, I know you're on a. I know, I should not interrupt, and women get interrupted so much. But I just, every time someone tells me that, like, it's like the cells in my body, whatever dead cells I have in my body, they become like revitalized or something. Because I'm like, what is this? Like, is such a niche. Like, I can't find it anywhere in sites. Like, they talk about it yet in passing, but like, no one is like actually like play therapy focus. So like when people say, "Oh my gosh, that is needed," or like I'm like, that is wow. Like I didn't even know people even really knew about play therapy. So thank you for like validating that because that's my whole dissertation is like this is needed. Like I don't see it anywhere for especially in our community. Like I do not see it like I hear like they know people know about it, but I don't see like it as like a I don't know. Maybe because we like I said in my dissertation, maybe because us African Americans we have our history with the mental health field and we have our resistances and we have our approach when it comes to like the healthcare system in general in America. Um, so when I hear stuff like that, when I hear people say, "Oh my gosh," like play there, even when I was trying to join the military and I was telling them that my dissertation was on. I'm like, these people don't care. They were like, oh my gosh, we need you. I'm like, what? The military? Like, what are we talking about right now? Like, what are you guys gonna do with play therapy? Like, but I don't know. Maybe it's much more deeper than I had expected. I don't know. Maybe it's I don't know. But I just wanted to say I appreciate that. I'm so sorry that I interrupted
Yes.
you.
You're good. No, it was like I go off, I'm on some more wild ass tangent. Don't be sorry ever to interrupt me. It'll be fine. It won't come back until later. But I think I said what I needed to say. But I want to say, like, on the play therapy piece, like, don't let that, you know, because it's not there, it doesn't mean it's not needed, right? That's that whole systematic, because things are the way they are, that's the way they should be. That's some bullshit. And that's why we are in these problems that we're in, is like we accept the status quo because, oh, something's not there. And so it must not be important. But it's like, no, it's not there because we don't have the proper people to introduce it and do the things that needed to be done. I honestly will say, but like, okay, I used to say, I'll say this part, like, for context. I graduated undergrad at 20. So I started college at 16. I went to the University of Washington and I graduated at 20. And I was married to my high school sweetheart by the time I graduated. And I thought, okay, I had, life figured out, right? Stupid 20-year-old. You don't know nothing. Your brain's not even developed. I get this job right out of college. My friend's like, hey, you can go work at this daycare because we're teachers and we have our psych degrees. They'll pay us more. I think I was making like $9.75 an hour. Okay, so that's back in the day.
Right.
And I spent 6 months at a daycare. I hated it. I was like, this is the worst job. I don't want to work with kids. Who does this? Like, you guys do this? I ended up getting pregnant because that was like, we're married. I was done with college. What else do you do? I'm from a small town country where you just make babies, right? Like, that's what you do. So we ended up on our first try getting pregnant. And I was like, okay, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this thing anymore. And I said, I'm going to be a bank. I also had a banking job that I had in college. And I said, I'm just going to be a banker. I don't want to work with kids. Mm-hmm. Now I've got 20 years of working with kids at this point, and I say all that to say, like, I think we say, like, I can do all these other things, right? Life points us in these other directions, but at the same time, life points us in those directions. So we learn what we need to learn to help those that we need to help. And I think it takes a strong person to work with kids because so many people refuse to do. I was actually just having this conversation with my DC supervisor, who's the most amazing woman in the world. Like, I got this contact position at this company, and I was like, this is the elite. Why do they even want me? People are freaking elite here in DC. Like, what? And even in, like, she was being so supportive of some pushback from mom on something I'm working on, and she was just like, that's the work we do. Like, some people can't handle that work. They can't it can be a surprise when you get something so good and you're not used to it, right? Like, that's not what comes out of schools. That's not what they do. But I'm neuropsych trained. I'm not going to give you, I'm going to give you something that you didn't know you needed, but also in my heart, I don't do this for money. I'm going to give you everything. Every single case gets the same thing. I'm going to put my all in it, and you're going to get a real report, and you're going to get, real work, and it's going to be a real detailed workup. Every single case. Doesn't matter what my time is. It doesn't matter my pennies to the dollar for it. It's just not. That's not what matters. But I say all that to say, like, we joked about how, like, working with kids can be very hard because you come up with, struggles that you didn't know you were going to do. I said I won't do therapy with kids during my first clinical rotation when I was working with a kiddo whose parents were divorced, and because of that, you need dual consent. They had joint decision making. They pulled the kid from me immediately. One of them did. no notice to him, and we were making progress, this kid and I. And that was like the hardest thing for me, and I had to sit with that. And so it's so needed, right, on all levels. But I find that every assessment that I do, I didn't know I was going to be in assessments, and this is the world I rock, and I will never ever step away from it. I love it. I guess I am stepping away from it. That's a lie. I'm stepping back to be more lead. So that, but still, touching it. But I bring, like, play to me is the basis of our assessment. Because I am going to connect with you through the things you like, through music, through fidgets, through talking about the things, the games you play, I'll make references to video games I'm not good at, but I've played, and I know they play and they like, and you just see the light up in their eyes when you connect through things that are not formal, not strict assessment, not schools, not academics, not jobs, right? They're through the things that you like to do.
Right.
I've had assessments where I've sat and we'll play chess in between, right? Like, there's just, I think you can blend it in with everything, and people are so afraid to be playful. But you get the best connection, and we all know through research, right? That's the basis of therapy. That's the thing that makes us have the progress. It'll never be the modality. It'll be the therapeutic relationship. But if you can bring that in with a child, or even with an adult, or an adolescent, where you're connecting outside of just tell me your thoughts and how do they connect. Sorry, I'm dragging on CBT right now, but yeah, play therapy sounds like one thing, but I know from the heart of it that it's connection. Play therapy is how we learn. I teach this all the time to, psychoed. Kids learn from modeling, right? That's how they learn. And modeling is done through play. But parents have a hard time playing with their kids. They have a hard time stopping and recognizing that it's okay to let their kids be the boss. It's okay to let their kids tell them what to do. It's okay to be funny and, dramatic and make faces and noises and accents. And it's okay to do those things, because in that you're building connection, but you're also teaching, right? Like, you're teaching in a way that brings true scaffolding, that memory of what to do and how to do it next. So you can connect to it in a positive light. So no, I think not only is it necessary, but it should be integrated in almost everything that we do as psychologists, especially those of us that work with kids.
For sure. Yeah. And we all, it is so, I don't know, life just gets to us that I feel like parents forget, and sometimes even, just adults just forget in general, that we all used to play. Like, we literally just all used to play. Like, it was literally what kids just naturally do. We meet up with other kids and we play tag and all types of things. Like, that's what we do. That's how we build connections. That's how we know who's a bully, who's nice, who got the snacks. Like, that's how we build connections.
Social skills.
Exactly. There's, I think I mentioned this in the previous podcast. I don't think so. I'm not sure. But I'll mention it here. I remember I was listening to another podcast where this lady, I think her son was going to school in Denmark, and she was like, the first few years, she was like, these people aren't doing anything with my child. They're just literally just playing around. And that's what they did for like the first 10 years, was like have like a play-based curriculum where the kids literally, it seemed from the outside looking in that the kids weren't doing anything, but these kids were like building like necessary connections and social skills that they needed, so when they became teenagers, you have like well-adjusted teenagers instead of, you know, kids that are like wilding out and not knowing how to make friends and, you know, build connections out, you know, outside of, you know, our neurodivergent people. You know, our normal kids, they are quote unquote normal, because, you know, what is
Right,
neurodivergent? Like, what are we talking about with
right.
that? But, you know, those kids that, you know, are seen as, you know, neurotypical in our society,
Typical.
yeah, they're able to build connections and regulate their emotions and cope, things of that nature. Things that our kids over here, and we clearly see that they're lacking. And honestly, it's not their fault. Look what they're coming from. Look at their environment. Look at their food. Like, it's a whole bunch of things that are like impacting all of it. Um, but yeah, I think play and that's why I feel like what makes a better, that's how you make a better society is if we get the kids, like if we
Oh
get into
yeah.
the kids, like that'll be it. And what I've learned, and I had a master's program that I ended up leaving before I went to my second master's program, and I think it was kind of reiterated in this program too, where we're in a field where we're supposed to go out of business. Like, we're supposed to have these clients and we're supposed to teach them the skills, and they're supposed to go out and implement these skills, and it's supposed to be like a domino effect, and we're supposed to be like social, we're supposed to make those changes as psychologists. After a while, enough people come to you, you know, enough change should happen in the world and you go out of business. Clearly,
Yep.
that's not how it's going. Clearly, here in America, it's always something that we gotta face. um but yeah, I feel like I'm
I
going.
love the business.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but I just, yeah, play therapy is, I don't know, it just feels like that's the way to go if you want to build like well-adjusted teenagers. I always say, if you want to make sure that you're able to handle those terrible teens, you better handle that terrible tools. You better get to those terrible
For
tools,
real.
because that's a reflection of what you're going to be going through when they turn a teenager. Because all a teenager is like a 2 year old with their testosterone is back on. Like, 2 year olds, they have like the same testosterone apparently as a man. That's why they so damn strong.
It's like the teenager is the same. They just stink. Like I use the same parenting techniques with my 4 year old as I do with my almost 17-year-old.
You said they stink. Yeah, that.
No, for real. Like they
Yeah, those teen years or something. Um, but yeah, I feel validated that, you know, what I'm into is necessary, and you know that I'm not crazy. So
You're not crazy. It's so necessary, and it's so necessary. But also, like, we class. It's that whole like how we define language, right? And it gets put in a box because we all play. We have to play. That's the basis of satisfaction. We
mhm.
play. We play. Adults play video games. Adults play. They can hike. They can choose to, we play. We go out for dinner, right? We talk and we laugh. And that's our version of play. It's what we enjoy doing. It's something that brings us joy. And that is the basis of play because it is something that brings us joy. Just like I hate the question on the ASRS. They play with toys appropriately. Like, what the fuck does that mean? There's no appropriate way. A toy is a toy, and you can do whatever you want with it, right? Like, there's no way to define that because there is no such thing as appropriate play. I mean, obviously, you don't want to hurt people, but in that, you're teaching how to be, soft and kind and appropriate and modeling. So I think we forget that our play just looks different, but we still do it. We still interact. We still have these moments where we're engaging with things in a nature that is playful and we like to laugh and we like to, design or do, our hobbies. Hobbies are play. We just give it a different name.
Right.
And it's in that we forget that is the connection. We find groups that like to do things, right? We find quilters like to quilt, and they find other quilters. Okay, well, you're playing in a group of quilters. We don't call it that, but play is the basis of life. And I know one thing I love that I hated in the moment, kind of like what you're going as we circle back. You know, I love to circle back on everything. I circling back on like timing is time. When I worked for, so then I never wanted to work with kids, and now I work with kids, and I worked with kids, and then after I was homeless, when Braylon had his brain tumor, and that was so I didn't have an abusive marriage. I had an abusive long-term relationship, and he is in prison now for murdering twice. So there's that. That's a story you get for another day. But he tried to take a hammer to my head.
My gosh. That nigga not in jail for that? The fuck?
Then I ended up almost homeless, or I ended up homeless because of a landlord was trying to break the law, because you can't kick someone out for domestic violence, but that was what he was trying to do. So anyway, I ended up homeless, and I had just taken I just got done, Braylon had just got done the chemo for his brain tumor, and so I hadn't been working because I couldn't work to take care of him through chemo. And so I had to take a job, and I ended up getting a teaching job as, guess what, a TK teacher of 4-year-olds. So I was back with kids. That very same job I said I didn't ever want to do. And so I ended up in this position, but I was so like hurt and wounded that I loved doing that. That was like, for me, it was the perfect position because they love you. Love to see you. I could wear my fun socks, and I could do things that, I could just be. And it was in that moment that I healed as I'm teaching them. And then I also, at the same time, I just love school, got a child development degree. So what a lot of people don't know about me is I have 5 degrees. I have the 2 degrees from undergrad, and then I went and I have a second, solid solo. I don't know what to say.
I don't even know what to
I've defined it. It's by itself. It's just this little child development degree. But in that degree, it was like learning the lifespan, but like breaking down each age of a child. And I was like, every person needs to learn this. And in that time, I was like, my goal in life is to one day put all of this information in doctors' offices and OBGYNs so that each time a woman comes for her checkup, she gets to understand like these developmental phases, because we don't know. Even as I was like so surprised. I mean, if I didn't have this secondary degree, I feel like there's a lot of things that would be more challenging. And when I sit in IEP meetings or meetings, sitting in stuff for kids, that it's like, now come on, now this is just developmentally appropriate behavior.
Right.
Like, this is their age, this is where they're at. But even in my doctorate program, there wasn't that level of introduction. It's like, but you need that. That's the basis of life. If we don't understand, like, sure, we get lifespan, but I mean, I had a whole year of not only just teaching and, learning to teach children at each level and each phase, starting from infancy of like, what does this look like? And that was the basis of it. It's like, play is so important, and we understand why Montessori is so, it should be the rule everywhere. It should be the basis of everything that we do. We shouldn't have structure that before 7 kids can't, they really can't regulate on their own. They need co-regulation and like the development of the brain. So it was a step-by-step thing that I'm like, man, if more people knew this, if more parents understood, there would be, I think, not only forgiveness in themselves, but this approach would look so different, right? Like, you don't need to be hard and strict and structured. You need to be compassionate, right? And persistent and present. And in that presence, you think, okay, well, I'm doing something, but even if you stop and you take 2 minutes out of what you're doing and you just answer your kid in the way, like quote unquote playfully, right? Those moments matter. And it's like leading them in each developmental phase, but no one knows that. We just have kids and I let them grow and I feed them and I do this stuff. Why aren't they listening? But it's because their brains and their personalities and who they are aren't wired to do that. They're not at that level. They can't. And we put too much expectation on them, and we take away the fun, right? I think we were talking about last time. We took away recess. We took away the things that are important. And I could go on all day. I think that play is like, I say all that to say, like, you were meant to go through this phase of having to let work for you, because I think that at the end of the day, you're meant to do something better and greater for the purpose of meeting the needs of a lot of people, right? That we don't understand yet because we're so afraid of this word. Like, we have time to play.
Right.
We have to work. We have to be productive, right? But that is productive.
Yeah, and I think like parents have some parents have a hard time with like being able to connect with their kids through plays because they've disconnected with their own child, with their own inner child. Like, and I think I'm not sure like what the history is with like the child labor laws. Um but it wasn't that too long ago in history where kids were like expected to carry the same burden as adults. So I think like the whole I think psychology in itself is like still in its baby stages compared to like medical fields. Like we're still like growing. I think we're like in like a teenage, maybe in our mid 20s phase as like a field where we're kind of like still new. People are still filling us out. Some people still don't see the point of us. It's not like with medical, some people disregard the medical field too, but it's a little bit more established and accepted than psychology. I think we're a little bit more abstract and people can't some people can't really connect. And I also think that people can't connect because they're still in like fight and flight mode. Like they're still in that mode where they can't even be. Like being is like, and it's a state of mind. Like it's a state of being. Like kids aren't thinking about, they're not thinking, they're literally just being. That's why it's so frustrating when you're trying to like rush a kid to like put on their socks or their shoes or get ready when they're like into their dinosaurs or doing something. Like they're in the moment, they're in the present. You're like stressed out because you're worried about some shit in the future. Like I think that's,
Yep.
kids are on like a totally different time, and it goes back to our first episode, whose time are we on? Like we get on whoever's time that we're on as adults at some point in our lives, and we tuck our childhood away, and that's when we get disconnected with our play. And that's why it's so, having our hobbies and things, they feel so refreshing because, oh wow, it's giving us a peek back into that part of ourselves that we had to kill off to survive in this craziness out here. Like, so I lost my train of thought. That's all I gotta say.
No, but yeah, because I mean, it wasn't until I love all of this. I could circle off all of it because it wasn't really until what, the 1950s or 60s, I think, and like maybe even a little later. It might have been the 70s where they really started to fully understand this idea that children are children and not little adults, right? Because before, they are little adults. They're just, everyone has the same frame of mind. You just grow, which is crazy when you think about it, because it's like, come on, y'all, we've all been children, and like we really just somehow thought that, yes, like then we grew up and said children are now children are adults. But when we were children, we didn't think we were adults. We thought we were children because we thought like children. It just like blows my mind. But also the product like you're saying, like the productivity of time, when you can put children to work, doesn't that increase your workload in a time prior to automation and all of the necessary factory pieces that required hands-on labor? That it makes sense to think of it. And I think that's the problem, is that people did know that children were children. We've always known that. It's whether or not we accept it and are willing to fight for it and how we're going to recognize it. Just like we refuse to say that hobbies are play, right? Or that what we do is play. That we go to work and we come home, and then what do you do? Okay, well, if you watch TV, that's your engagement. Well, no, I just turn it, it's just that, people will make excuses because it feels uncomfortable to be like, I can play. And it's like, redefine the word for you. What does it mean? How do you engage then? How do you engage with others? What does that look like? Why are we so afraid of this idea of being, like, just like you're saying, like just being? Right? We can't just be. We can't just be the things that we enjoy. We can't just be in the places. And it's so funny because I use that same example a lot of the time, which I forget myself, because because we're psychologists, we know things, doesn't mean we're perfect. Obviously we're not. And I'll be like, don't rush. Okay, research says when you rush your kids, it gives them anxiety. I don't want to give my kid anxiety. I already have that anxiety, but also I gotta go. And then I also think, okay, what did I learn way back when I was like having my teacher conferences and I was talking to parents, and I say, kids, they're not in. I hate when I hear the word manipulative, or they're doing this on purpose. No child is doing something to an adult, right? They aren't sitting there thinking, I'm not going to put my shoes on because I want her to be late. You don't know where the fuck you're going.
Right.
They don't know what you're doing, right? They know in this moment, I'm getting yelled at, I don't like it, but I can't connect what's happening because those things don't connect. They don't have the brain capacity to make that connection. But what they do know is if they like playing what they're playing and they're comfortable right now, and I'll get my shoes on when I get my shoes on. Like, I'm not trying to intentionally hurt you. I'm intentionally surviving and doing what I like because that's how my brain is formed and functioning at this time. I say all the time, teenagers are little narcissists by nature. Like, that's really what they are by nature. Like, you have to teach them how to get out of that. You have to teach them how to be empathetic and see outside of that. But their brain and their development is structured to be about them because they're in survival mode, right? They've got all these hormones going on. They're going through that super uncomfortable, awkward phase. They stink like hell. Like, they, walk by my son's room, and I'm just like,
you're gonna let the people know that the teenagers stink now.
I'm telling you, I work. They're my favorite. They're what I like. I love them, and I'm working with elementary age a lot now because of my new job. That's what I'm going to be doing, and I'm just like, man, I love me the teenagers. They think, but they're so for real, and they are very similar to the toddler years as far as like they just want. They're on the cusp. They're both child and adult, but they're not adults. They don't have capacity to be adults.
Right. They got a long way to go. We have a long
right,
way.
And we put so much responsibility on them that they shouldn't have because we're teaching them to be productive. We're telling them that they can't play anymore. They need to do all these other things. Mm-hmm. And that's like, going back to the whole capitalist society, that's the problem, right? We take away the childhood, we make productivity the center, and we become the rich man's time. And we lose ourselves in the midst of that. And I think what you're doing and, what you're spreading and hopefully connecting that, and then through what I do similarly, but I say I do therapeutic assessments, because I don't mess with therapy. But at the same time, that same thing of like the connection, bringing it back, just teaching that it's okay. That validation of like, be in the moment. And you know, I will say my life has given me lesson after lesson that it doesn't matter what I stress about. Because things are just going to be what they're going to be. Time will time. Like, as long as I make the steps when I need to make the steps, what is it going to be a few minutes if I play? What is it going to be a few minutes if I do this? I think it comes back to what is it going to be? What sacrifices am I willing to make, to be a good person, a good parent, a good psychologist, a good friend? Like, there's always something I can move in the moment to make those things happen, but we get so stuck, so focused on that one thing. I gotta do this. I gotta be on time. I gotta be here. I gotta be there. I gotta do this. I don't have time to think about that. I don't have time to engage with you. I don't have time to call you. I don't have time to text you. I just forget because object permanence isn't there because of ADHD. So I don't try to call you and not text people just because. But outside of that, I'll make engagements and try to do things, right? But I think, neurodivergent people aside, that we can all be caught up in this systematic thing. I'll say, like, the only thought I can think of right now is it just all comes back to just because things are the way they are doesn't mean that's how they're supposed to be.
Yeah, very much so. And all because things are the way they are doesn't mean it has to be that way for you. Aquarius season things. Make your own truth out here. This was because we're at like an hour and 6, and I think that's like probably like
Woo!
a good right. I think we covered like some good ground here. We didn't talk. We were planning to talk about periods, um, but I think all of that may be embedded into like even some of the things that I wrote down for my notes for the lunar eclipse. They were like all embedded into the conversation about everything that we talked about. And periods are definitely like a huge. Well, I know we talked about the stinkiness, and I don't know if that. Well, I guess if they're not careful, the teenage girls can go through that, but the periods are more so our thing when it comes to the teenage experience. Um, the boys got the funk, and we got the blood, and so there's that. What is it? What is it with is it because they don't want to shower, or is it because the hormone? Like what is the stench?
It's just like I say this with all the love in my heart, but it's just like they're just like skunks all the time. It's not their fault. They clean. Like my son's, he's groomless clean. He clean. Like I just don't think they realize it's that gross, right? Like have you ever walked into? And I don't know, maybe it's because I spend a lot of time like I said, in and out of different schools too, so I can get a generalization. I've spent a lot of years in a lot of different spaces with a lot of different ages, and one thing that runs through is that especially in the middle school years before they get a grasp on it, they're like you need to reapply deodorant. Not a one-time thing, my man. Like this is not how that works. Also, they just like that. It's just something in like their aura. Is just like maybe it's like a defense mechanism. I'm just telling you all right now where I'm at in life, and right now it's hard. Okay, I think those are the hardest years, especially. I think it sucks with the period because obviously we're in a patriarchal world, which I think is awful, and I think that's part of the problem because we can accept that boys think and that's okay and laugh about it and like and I don't want to categorize because I think I think that we all have some of these phases that doesn't matter, but at the same time it's almost like it's known and it's a joke, but also it's okay, it's fine, like they're great, and love my son, and he's gonna wash his clothes, he's gonna be fine. Just these ages are awkward, and I don't think you can get around that. But as a female, when you get your period, like right now, I'm like when you have cramps and you don't want to do something and you got a migraine, we don't get to have any space for that. Like, we're told we're too emotional, but at the same time, our body is physically going through shit that no one understands. And when we're first starting, I started my period at 9. So I was very young. And like, no one understood, but I didn't understand, right? Like, I didn't know, and you don't know your flow. You don't know what that means. You don't know, like, you get blood in your pants, and you don't want to tell anybody, and it's like, then it turns brown, and it looks like you pooped, and it just, I think it's a lot to go through in those teenage formative years in a society that is hush hush about it. Like, it took so long to have, like, my second ex husband. My first ex husband would do it, but my second ex husband, the recent one, right, wouldn't even buy my tampons. Like, wouldn't do it. And it's like, this is something that you just go through as a human who has ovaries, and I can't stop it, and I'm not going to be ashamed of it. I kind of look at it like, I'm not going to be ashamed of anything. Right? I'm going to be blunt. I'm autistic. I'm blunt. I'm going to tell you what it is. You think that's odd? Fine. That's on you. I don't think that's odd. I just speak differently. I'll give you way too many words for an answer that could have been a yes or no. Same with my period. Like, I tell you I'm on my period, I don't need you to look at me funky. That's just something that happens once a month, every 28 days. Pretty like clockwork. It got logged in my little Aura app. Like, these are things that should be normalized. And I do know that there are other societies that give women time off, right? And we know that that should be respected. It used to be that way.
Right.
I'll go out in the tent with all the other girls. Like, I want space. I want space. I don't want to be touched. I don't want to do anything. Can I work? Sure. Don't want to. No. But only for like a day or two, right? And I think what's interesting is that men have the same, like, they also have a 45-day cycle. They just don't bleed. They have a 45-day hormonal cycle where they also turn into, please excuse my French, because I don't mean this in any negative way, but right, this is how we get called little bitches, but they're like that, like, they have these days where it's like, and I don't mean that, I shouldn't have said that, like, that's very bad, but like, they have these changes in their personality, similar to the way women do, right? It's just that they don't have this external factor. And so a lot of people don't know that, don't think about that. And again, it's kind of like this path. Like, there's this idea that men can just kind of be more rude and more, I think, not nice. I'm trying to be nice with my words, like, pick them wisely, because I don't mean any harm by this, but like, there's this path right now in a patriarchal society where it's okay for them to have these attitudes, and it's never okay for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I, like, right now, I sent some emails this morning to the realtor, like, bro, I told you I got to get out of this place. Like, I told you that, and it's like, am I maybe being a little more blunt and a little more, like, less frilly about it because I just don't have space right now to do that? Maybe, but at the same time, I don't think it should matter. I'm not being unkind, but the way I go about things is maybe a little bit like on point, because I also want to just be able to get to the end of the day.
No, that nigga need an answer. I don't know what that nigga on. Like, I don't know what people are on these days. Like, I when it has something to do with money and food, I need you to be on point. Like, I don't need no delays or anything like that when it comes to, like, stuff like come on now, like, this is and then, like, this is putting money in his pocket. Like, isn't that how it works? Like, you get the house and, like, he gets paid because he set you, like, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. That's
exactly it. And it's like, excuse me, don't take on something. I don't know. I feel the same way, and I just feel like I'm more blunt and more like, I'm not gonna, like, these are the things I said during certain times of the year, certain times of the month, and I could recognize that about myself now at almost 40. But when you think about it when you're young, you can't recognize that, and you don't know why. And I think that interferes with a lot of peer relationships and a lot of, like, everything feels so much bigger and deeper. Like it feels to me to not like, why didn't I go look at houses today? Why didn't I go get some sort of response that like we're gonna go tomorrow? We're gonna like he's gonna acknowledge these houses that I sent to him and this long ass email that I sent about what I want, and that feels bigger than like maybe it would next week. And I would just be able to send a response and be like, hey, can we, can I follow up? And right now I'm like, look, bro, I'm gonna go find somebody else. Like, I think there's levels, and when I think back personally as a teenager, I think that it was so hard because I couldn't even talk about that time. I couldn't even relate to that. So how could I connect if these things were connected? That my mood of, not wanting to take any bullshit, but like being able to take bullshit other times was connected to the fact that my insides feel like they're falling to the floor.
Hmm.
I'm just expected to keep going.
Yeah. And
I don't know.
that's how it is. And honestly, it ties back into the whole how we treat how society has treated kids up to a certain point. Like children and women, they have just been disregarded up until, and honestly, still to this day. If we really want to like keep it 100, like women and children are. I've always said this, and I be saying it a lot on the internet. Like this world be showing us that it has a deep disdain for women and children. Like they're just getting to know the child mind. They're just getting to know the female. I think like a few years ago or something, they were about to send a lady to space, and they were about to send her like with 1,000 pads or something. Like, what are we talking about right now? Do y'all not like, we've lived amongst you guys since the beginning of time, had these we've been bleeding since the beginning of time, and you still don't understand you want babies from us, and that is the part of the process of giving you babies is the period. So like, I'm it's just baffling to me that we have been disregarded literally for millennia. Like,
Literally. And the societies that don't prosper, right? Like we can see that. We can see that there's pockets who are like, put the women first and have these, safe, not even safeguards, I shouldn't say, but like human rights, the equity, not just equality, but the equity of access to things for women. And like, yeah, here we are just trying to I'm tired. I heard a lot growing. Like, you never trust something that bleeds once a month. Like, I can't stand that statement.
yeah.
And that I think sums up everything because it's like, what do you even mean? Because I'm sorry, I would never kill off a whole school of children because of something. I would never start a war, period, because I feel some type of way in my little ego. Like, there's nothing that would do that. I'm never going to make a world worse no matter how I feel. And that's the difference is I think we've been so oppressed because like that's the truth of for the most part, right? That's how I was thinking this. Like that's not always girls, but for the most part, like right now I'm working with a lot of cool girls helping around me, and all I can think of like is like women rock. They will go the extra mile for you. They will do things that like I made so many calls today about this stupid ass car. And you know who helped me? You know who heard me? And I will go to her regardless for the rest of my time around here to buy a car, is the one woman that called me. Every other man said, this is what I can do, bottom line. And in my mind, I'm always like, I know better. I'm that person that I always know there's something. So I'm like, I'm going to push back. I'm going to be like, I know you can do something. But the one person was like, I got you, girl. Like, come in. I'm going to do this. She's like, let me see. She got it down. And she's like, I just hear you. I want to help you. And same with like my lender right now. I had started with like this man. I said, I need this program. I don't know about this program. I Googled it. And I was like, what do you mean? There it is. And he's like, well, actually, our company doesn't do that. Okay, so you're just going to sideline me? Like this program is what I need to get a house on the deal that I need. So it's just like, I don't know. I could go on about that kind of stuff, but it feels like we have to have each other's backs in a way that no one else understands. And also, we are so put in a box that we're even afraid to say these things like out loud. Like, I have to talk about sex all the time in this job, right? Like, as a psychologist, it doesn't matter. We have to talk about these things. But there are times where I'll be sitting across, like, from a teenage girl, asking her things, and you could just see the shame and the, like, we're going to talk about this. It's like, this should not be something we're afraid to talk about. Like, it matters. It matters to your health. It matters. Like, I at the court. You see all these misdiagnoses, but these things matter. No one is getting to the root of it. No one's asking you about, like, I hate that no one's getting to the root of it because I feel like wellness influencers use that maliciously, so I don't mean it in that way. But, like, that whole, holistic putting it all together, like, these are your cycles. Let's teach you about it so you can understand yourself, so that you can know, like, if you're starting, your brain is looking for something, if you're starting arguments with people, and that's actually a typical behavior. And, like, taking away that feeling of, like, I can't be this way, and I have to always present nicely and calm and, ladylike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The whole side story, but there I go.
No, like, it's all related. It's all, we go on our tangents, but it's all tied together. Yeah, we're way behind on the research when it comes to women and children. Like, and it's crazy because we've been around this entire time. Like, we literally been around this entire time, and we've been upholding society this entire time too. I think I googled it, and I think one of the child labor law things, and I think it said the most sweeping law that protects kids from abuse and labor was made in 1938. My grandmother was born around that time. So we're not even talking about anything that was back in like 1800s, like 1938. Like, so.
Yep. And then it was like they didn't condense the amount of time, like the number of hours that you could work, I think, until later. Because I think they were still able, and they want a lot of places, like the red states, have rolled that back and said there's a limit. And that's new. And I know that's new only because I was in management. And you can only schedule a teenager for a certain amount of hours on a certain amount of days. And, like, they can't work when they're in school. They can't work more than, a certain number of hours in some states because it's state by state laws. Well, then there's those protections were rolled back, and the expectation of, someone told me that a teenager can just go, they can work multiple jobs to take care of themselves. But that should not happen. They are a child.
Right.
That should not be something that is okay. So it's so recent. It's all so recent. And then even then, just like you're saying, they show over and over again, right? By we make a little bit of progress and then roll it back. Like, this idea is just so far fetched that a child should just be a child up through. And I hate the 18 age. I will fight to the death. That is not, like, your brain is nowhere close to developed at 18. Who made that arbitrary law? Like, right. You used to be able to marry your cousin or your brother. That was also a law. And then we realized that we shouldn't do that. Like, 18 is not a law that is sustainable. It's not a truth. It's not on this date, you're an adult now. Like, no, they still stink. They still are out there making those stinky decisions. Like, their brain is sitting there with no frontal lobe. And we're just like, be an adult. That's why also, like, that's when the most crimes happen. That's when the most impulsive moves happen. Is that age between 18 and 24 when you're given those responsibilities and yet you don't have the brain function to handle it.
Yeah,
maybe that's what we're going to make those changes.
Yeah, like, I was not grown at 18 years old at all. When I think back on 18-year-old Erica, like, an adult is the last thing I would call me. I was definitely making adult decisions, but definitely was not an adult and doing adult things, but not was definitely had no business doing some of the things that I was doing in my early 20s. And honestly, even almost at 30, I feel like there's going to be a lot of in the future we're going to like hear a lot more because I think there's like research coming out now that puberty lasts until like your 30s or something. I feel like we're going to learn more about puberty. I feel like we're going to learn that puberty never stops.
I believe that.
I feel
Because
like
listen, I'm in like I'm sweating in this perimenopause. I had a male doctor tell me I couldn't be in. I was like, sir, I'm 39. I know, like, I can be in these things. And then he said, oh, you know what? I just listened to this YouTube video. This was a doctor.
wow.
I was like, yeah, like we're just so unstudied, but also unlistened to. Because, I mean, the brain, we know, right, that the brain doesn't even fully develop until it's in the 30s. So, yeah, like, at what point, if that's the case, then other parts have to change as well. And you have to keep moving forward. And you have to keep, like, yeah, the idea that we become solidified in adulthood or that we become, something forever is just baffling to me that we've accepted that as most of society has, because that's impossible. We all have to have, we can't be stagnant. That's why we know that stagnation also creates higher risk of dementia and Alzheimer's, because the moment that you decide you're going to stop learning and you're going to stop inputting and changing and growing is the moment that you do start aging and start declining. And it's like those things are so connected, but people refuse to look at it. I'm like, I might stop having a period, that's fine, but I probably won't stop being this emotional, like, little roller coaster every once in a while, because I want to engage with myself as much as I possibly can forever, and also go through the times that I time and the times that I glow up and the times that maybe I fall, and realize that I can do that consistently throughout life. Like, I think in your 20s, I can't believe people let us have kids. Like, no one should have let me have kids at 20s or get married. Like, I feel like I was given the choice to make decisions that I shouldn't have made. And I love my son. I'm so grateful. But the mother that I am, based from the child that I got to have in my 30s, is way different. Way different. I'm like way more in control, right? Way more emotionally regulated, making sounder decisions and understanding. And not that saying that, I didn't do the best that I could in the time that I had, because I think we all do. We do the best that we can with what we have. And I had a kid going through chemo, and I stayed in a relationship that was abusive to try to put a roof over her head. But knowing now what I know, I think I could have realized that there were resources out there that I didn't understand and I didn't connect with. And yeah, I just think, man, I went off on that one, didn't I? Like, we really do just have to change and grow. And I think we will continue that. And I'll continue to tell everyone that psychologists have the same level of training as MDs. We go to school for the same amount of time, and we have the hours that are similar as far as like residency, clinical supervision hours, not necessarily, surgeons and like super specialties. I get that they have they have an intensive route, but for the most part, we're on the same track. We just do things differently. Our focus is different, but
and we actually learn stuff. Like, there's so many times I've heard people that are like, we went to medical school, we don't learn about. They don't learn about like these. I'm like, so what are we going to medical school? What are they going to medical school for? Like, I was listening. I followed this page. This lady who has migraine. She is called the Migraine Network, and she said that medical doctors like don't go to school to learn about. They go to school to learn how to treat these things, like to what pills to give you, but they don't learn like the ins and outs of like these disorders like we do. Like, we take into factor like the environment, the family, biological factors, all these things that go into PTSD, anxiety, schizophrenia. We take all that stuff into account. They don't. Like, it's literally just like surface level. And I'm not saying, that's all medical doctors. And you, of course, like you said, you have specialties where, they definitely do get more deeper into, certain specialized knowledge. Uh, However, from what just the reviews of medical school, because there's a lot of psychologists, at least in my program, who were going the medical, even me and Katrina, we were, I know I was thinking about going the medical route, and I think Katrina was too, because she's into that psychopharm, psychedelics and stuff like that. um we just ended up where we are here, and honestly I'm grateful for that, because I feel like I'm and even and I think Katrina is even more qualified, because she has that psychopharm masters. So not only does she has like the knowledge that psychologists have of, just the psychosocial world of a patient or a client, you know what I'm saying? She also has this knowledge of what medicines that will best fit, their body mass and all of that, their medical history, things of that nature. These MDs, especially psychiatrists, like they get you on like a 15-minute like little appointment, hear your symptoms, and already give you a prescription. This guy, he did his presentation in class this past Thursday. He's neuropsych. And the patient that he presented on, the psychiatrist gave him schizophrenia. He diagnosed him with schizophrenia because the guy said that he has like these reoccurring thoughts in his head of like being sad and wanting to kill himself and things of that nature. I'm like, you didn't think of depression? Why did you diagnose that boy schizophrenia?
I'm dead. No, it's for real. No, but and like the DC area, well, we're gonna the course. The DC area must have the highest population of children with bipolar that I've ever seen in my life.
Look, like, because literally,
like,
that is the DC child's favorite words are irritated. I'm irritated, and she bipolar.
And I get angry. Okay, well, I'm like, and now I said, okay, well, that's not being bipolar. Well, I was told that, and okay, I'm so sorry that you were told that, but being angry is indicative of a lot of things. Also, just being a teenager. Like,
exactly.
Let's be so for real. And sometimes your anger is warranted because you hear their life and you're like, did no one listen to what the hell you have gone through?
Yeah.
Does no one sit there and say, like, wow, this is a lot? And you actually, like, why are we pathologizing the emotions? But I know why. So we can medicate. And I think there is there's a problem, and there is a lack of understanding and trust in what we do, that like we are going to be, I think, the breakthrough for a lot as psychologists. If a lot of people stay right, and like I think in any field there are people who don't understand their power, and maybe are not using it appropriately, and again, that can make people see us in some sort of light, just like medical doctors. Our training is so substantial that the mind controls everything, right? Like, we know that. And why are we giving reverence to the fact that if your mind controls everything, including your medical health, and we have to understand that, like, I may not be the one to give you a diabetes or a thyroid, diagnosis, but I sure shit have to know the interplay of those symptoms and how they affect you and what they look like and what they're going to be behaviorally. So I'm like, same with medications, right? Like, I'll look at a medication list of a kid and be like, why? And this is you like, why, and also this is why you're getting those behaviors. Like, these things are linked.
Right.
And no, we can't just keep doing it. But there's so many in our field that just like, not necessarily just in our field, but in general, where it's like, that's not our scope. We're so afraid to be, that's not our scope, or our scope, this is what we're trained to do, is we listen to it. And a psychiatrist goes to med school, learns about the body, and then has rotations on psych wards, which is like wild. That's not how we treat people. That's like I think we do need to see severe mental health, but at the same time, that's not the majority of the people that you see, right?
Right.
Like, there's just this big disconnect, that the hierarchy of what this is. The lawyer tried to tell me I'm not a doctor, because I said I'm not going to talk about the medical aspect. That's not my scope. So even I think when we say things like that and we acknowledge it, we're immediately degraded. I'm like, no, I am a doctor. Speak on how these are behaviorally and psychologically. It's not going to speak on the medical diagnostic piece of it. Like, you wouldn't say that to a medical doctor, though, right? Like, somehow everything is in the scope, but it's not. I know we came off on something else there, but yeah, I think there's just this. It's just interesting to me how the world views things without understanding, I guess, how deep you go, what our training is like, how intense it is, what we learn, what we have to connect.
All this money, like we are in the same amount of debt as a damn medical doctor. Like, so
there is a home loan program for doctors. Every doctor but a PsyD and a PhD is not on there. What? I said, I was like, that's where I actually, that's why this is so fresh on my mind. I went off. I was like, did they not understand? I am licensed. I still have to pass the same licensure and work under HIPAA, and I'm still a healthcare provider. Like, this, I work under the same laws. I owe $200,000.
Wow. See, yeah, we're just like women and children. We're holding up society, because let something happen in their family, let somebody get depressed, let a shooting happen and somebody get traumatized, let something happen, now they gotta call the nearest psychologist, because a psychiatrist not going to do shit but give you damn pills. That's not going to help you out. You're going to want to talk to somebody. Like, and that somebody is going to be us. So,
and then we're going to put it all together for you and give you tools so that you can get yourself feeling like, not even just like yourself, because you can't go backwards, but hopefully like a better version, like let's circle back around, like becoming and being, and like we have that power. And I think that's so cool. I love it. I love this, like, knowledge that we hold. I hate that it's gatekept. I hate that we think we have to hold it in for the people that pay. I hate that it's money driven, but I do love that not only do we know what's going on and connect it, but we intervene and give you tools to fix it. And sometimes it's a dual thing, right? Like, let's work together, and you do need medication. But on that flip side, like with OCD, I love working with OCD, because it's like, you give so much power to someone when you give them power over their mind. And like, I think that's the greatest feeling. I obviously want to be cured medically, but at the end of the day, it's like, there's something about, I think, this idea that we change brains, we change the mindset, and therefore change the trajectory of a person. Like, that's something no medical doctor can talk about, right? Like, that's just not in their scope. So I don't know. We all have a place, but our place should be equal, not below.
Yeah, it should definitely put some respect on a psychologist's name. Put some respect on PhD. I didn't even know that about PhDs. That's crazy that they get left out, because I'm thinking the PsyDs, we're the blacklisted ones. Ain't shit for us. Ain't even no damn scholarships for a PsyD.
Which is
like, I literally, like, I know there are like things out there, certain little scholarships that you can apply for, But like, you know how they're like targeted scholarships for PhD and medical, like there is nothing, or it's very rare, I should say, that I will find something that is open to like a PsyD applicant. Even with this match process, I wanted to go to Children's Hospital. Was about to hire me before my mom went through this whole medical scare thing that went down. I got hired by Children's Hospital to be on assessment, do assessments for them. They don't train PsyD interns.
Yeah, it's funny because the children's and why I believe that it's crazy. And what I think is crazier is that societies are specifically trained. Like my, okay, my, not that, not, I don't want to say anything negative, but the old dean of my school was so proud because society, he'd be like, we are the, we are the MDs of the field. We are the ones that work. We're the ones that are trained in intervention. We're the ones that are, like, given this, uh, power to know we're trained in therapy, we're trained in assessment, we're trained in all of this more so than a PhD because they're more academic heavy, right? They're more research focused. That is the bulk of it. In fact, going in internship and being with someone who had a PhD, there was no intervention training. Like came in with all these, like, I don't want to say supports, but knowledge, because that was integrated into all of our classes: group therapy, individual therapy, couples therapy. And I think you need to know that no matter what you do or where you go with how you progress as a psychologist, having training in intervention is important because I intervene all the time. If I'm sitting in an assessment, I find out someone's in crisis mode. I have to be able to, I have to be able to shift in the right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, come on, please go to bed.
And now he up.
He came. I don't know. He must have heard me. It's because I talk so loud. I'll be in the hallway of school. Like, I forgot. I'm loud. Please forgive me. It's just me. But I guess this should be the time. This is a good wrap up point, I guess.
Yeah, we can definitely wrap it up. Motherhood calls for Tessa. But this was and I honestly, we talked longer because we about to hit 2 hours. And I remember I said we were at 1 hour and 6. Let's wrap it up. And we talked for like 30, 40 minutes more. So there's that. But I think we covered a lot of ground today. Thank you so much for reframing my earlier, tangent. I'm going from selfishness to sacrifice when it comes to, this whole match process thing. I would definitely keep you and the podcast posted. Not sure who's listening to this. Don't care. I'm listening. And put some respect on your psychologist's name, especially if they got PsyD behind their name. We're almost 300K in debt, just like your medical doctors. So put some respect on our name. We out here in the field. We out here doing the things in these streets. And yeah, Shout out to Tessa. Shout out to Malcolm, who's woken up from. He supposed to be in the bed, but he up.
I tried so hard this time, but he knows. He knows. But all of that, because listen, we are out here, the change makers, the ones that are gonna do the work systematically and in systems to bring on, like you were saying earlier, bring on a different way of life for everyone. I think we have that to carry, for better or worse, because of our knowledge, because of our training, because of what we go through, because of how we have to interact. And I am licensed the same. You have to pass licensure. I'm getting board certified in 3 different boards. So I think yeah, we work through it. We're governed by, laws similar. We have the ethics codes. We have all of that we stand by, and we're here to work and help. And it should be way more careful and acknowledged, and we should have home loans that we're allowed to get because we're in debt.
Yeah, we're taking care of the minds of the world, the youth minds, the couple minds, the adult minds. We're taking care of y'all. So take care of yourselves. If you can do something that it will put you in a state of being, which would probably be somehow the name of this podcast. I'm not sure. I'll have to listen to the whole 2 hours to figure out what the vibe is. Um,
no, I like that vibe. I think we touched on that a lot, like being a kid, being present, being just overall being a woman, having periods, being frank, being bold, being everything that we can be, just being human. And also, I'll add, go play your hobbies, your TV, your video games, your interactions, your drinks with friends, your dancing on the floor, funny voices, funny faces, play with kids, draw with them, get on the floor. I love to talk like I have an English accent. That will be one of my favorite things to do. Make yourself laugh. I'll go first.
Go crazy with it, guys.
You sound like you're from London. So all two of us that are listening like us, okay, look, I make videos for all the 5 people in my family that watch them. That's what we're doing right now. It's cool. One day someone will look back at this and be like, wow, they were so smart.
Exactly. We don't need too many eyes on us. We don't need too many ears tuning in. We just need the right people to tune in, and that's all that's needed. Just the right people to support us. All you need is one yes. All I need is one yes. Y'all wish me up for this match process because all I need is one good yes.
That's all you need. One yes, it's coming. One yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you, Tessa, for taking the time out your day. 2 hours from motherhood and just life in general, doctorhood, to do this podcast.
Really was just report writing.
Oh my gosh. See, yes, you see, look, now we got to get into our real psychologist work and get into some report writing and integrate a whole bunch of data into something that can be digested by the courts. So with that, we will tune out and we will tune back in, I guess, on the next new moon, whenever that is. We're not sure. You'll see us when you see us.
Peace out. Yeah. We're fickle, but we're funny.
We're fickle, but funny. Ah! Oh, damn, I forgot to read your chart. Oh, my gosh. Next time, because it'll be 3 hours if we do that shit.
Right? Next time. But I told you I was a Cancer for real. There's things about me no one. On the dark side of the moon. Fickle and funny. All right, y'all.
All right, guys. Peace out.